Thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. Our first speaker today is going to be Larry Flynn, our Administration Division Administrator. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Larry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, Larry Flynn. I'm the CFO for the Department of Transportation. So my division is actually responsible for collecting the motor fuel taxes throughout Montana, including the BaRSAA funding, which of course is mostly your money, not department money, but we do collect that. As you know, coming up Friday, so 3 days from now, you will be eligible for your second round of BaRSAA funding. I know there's been some question on why does the amount seem to fluctuate and that kind of thing, but realize that this works a little bit differently than what we're calling the old gas tax allocations, where this is tied directly to the revenue that we actually collect here at the department. So as that revenue ebbs and flows with the gas sold in the state of Montana and the diesel sold in the state of Montana, that will change. There's a few little dynamics happening in these first couple years. We kind of started this mid-year, which made it a little bit more difficult. The first fiscal year, the department actually got a flat dollar amount, so that kind of threw a little bit of another wrinkle into it, and the fact that the tax rate is going to continue to change. So it'll be a few years before that funding level kind of stabilizes. But as I recall, we have a shred more than $12 million going out the door in terms of allocations on Friday. So that's good news. But I'm just here to answer any questions that you may have on how those collections of fuel tax work and how they ultimately end up in your BaRSAA funding. So with that, I will kick it back over to Katie.
All right, thanks, Larry. Do you have any questions on that information? Nope. All right. We also have here today, we have Kelly Lynch from the League of Cities and Towns, and Kelly will talk to you more about the BaRSAA program.
So I'm actually fiddling through my website right now, trying to make sure that everything is up, and I can't seem to find it. But thank you. Can you click on the guidance document, please? Thanks. So same thing that we did last time. Essentially, that money comes through MDT, and you need to go into MDT and request those funds. You'll need to adopt a resolution that indicates what your project is, the amount of funds that you're requesting distribution of, which would basically be that BaRSAA amount plus a minute, thank you, plus your 5% match. Continue to use that Web Grants online application system. We did do a new, both MACO and the League have posted a updated resolution that I think makes it a little bit easier and a little bit more straightforward from last year's. One of the things that we did remove is the requirement to actually name an individual, so that you'll be able to just name whoever that person is that you want, so you won't have to go in and find somebody else to click in Web Grants. So that should make things easier. Same things that everything can be used for: construction, reconstruction, maintenance, and repair of roads, streets, alleys, bridges, or roads and streets. You can also use it as your match for federal funds for projects that you're administering or that MDT is administering, and you can have that show towards your local match for those projects. One of the things that you cannot use these funds for, just like last time, is to purchase capital equipment. You might go back, and I know there are a few of you where your project from last year did not, either came in under budget or you never used all of the funds. If that's the case, then there is a process in Web Grants, and I'm sure Katie will speak to that, where you will be able to basically combine those old funds from last year with the new funds that you're getting this year to go towards a project this year. You will make your request for distributions from March 1st until November 1st. So November 1st is essentially your deadline, but you can come in starting, what day was it? This Friday? Wow. You have 5 years to obligate those funds. We are strongly encouraging, as we did last year, that you utilize these funds first and get them out the door so that you don't have to continually track these ongoing deadlines for these funds, particularly now as we start to get into multi-year distributions with different deadlines based on when they were distributed to you. It's much easier if you can just use these BaRSAA funds as quickly as possible and get those out the door. Last year we had a little bit of issue with people thinking they needed to reserve their BaRSAA allocation. The only time you need to do a reservation of your BaRSAA funds, which means MDT will continue to hold on to it. The only time you need to do that is if you cannot come up with your 5% match. So if you're in that situation and you're a county, give MACO a call. If you're a city or town, give the league a call. We will kind of brainstorm with you to figure out how to come up with that match. I don't think we ended up with anybody last year that reserved their funds. Everybody was able to come up with their match. So hopefully that will continue to be the case. But if you do end up in a bind and you need to do that, that process is there for you.
So we prefer not to do that until the end of the year.
Right. And if you are going to do that, don't put in that request until September 1st. And we set that up last year so that MDT could really get all the people who are getting their funds distributed through the system first, and then deal with those who couldn't come up with their match later on in the year. But hopefully that won't apply to any of you. Everybody needs to submit an annual report. You will have to do this every year. Your annual report for last year's allocation was due on or before December 31st. I think there are still some entities that have not done that yet. So if you haven't done that yet, or you are worried about whether or not you've done that yet, give Katie a call or email her and find out if you can confirm that you did that. And if you haven't done it yet, then work with Katie to figure out what you need to do to make that happen. But essentially you just need to go in every year and tell them whether or not you're still working on the project or whether the project has been completed. It's a pretty easy process. I think that's it. Just a little overview, and then I'll give it to Katie, and then if there are any particular questions come up.
We do have one question that came in. Susie asks if they need to request the funds for the year, or is it monthly?
No, it's all, your entire distribution request can be requested on March 1st for the year.
So you can request it all at once. You don't have to go month by month if you have a project. So, all right. Thanks, Kelly. Any other questions? If not, I'll go ahead. Oh, I'm going to steal the mouse back here, and we'll go. I'm now going to show you the system to request the distribution of your funds. One thing is make sure you're using the new template, the resolution template that Kelly mentioned. I have it up on the screen here. It's a lot simpler than last year. Well, they made a few changes to make it easier for you so that we don't run into some of the issues we had with web grants. So if you use the new template, web grants should be a lot easier to use then. All right, so when you are ready to request distribution of your funds, what you're gonna wanna do, one other thing is that we had a lot of people log into web grants before their resolution was ready, and then they got a little bit stuck in the system. So make sure that your resolution is signed, that you have it scanned, or you can even take a picture of it with your phone and upload that picture. But have that in an electronic format ready to upload into web grants before you go in there so you don't get stuck. So when you have that resolution ready, you're going to want to go to fundingmt.org. You'll see Montana Grants and Loans up at the top. This is web grants, the system that we're using. If you have your user ID and password, if you went through this last year, you can go ahead and log in. If you've never used web grants before, if you're new, you're going to have to register for an account. So just click register here, and the form will come up, and make sure you fill out all of the fields that have an asterisk so that way it'll submit. One thing, for what agency's grant programs are you most interested in? Make sure to select Department of Transportation there. That way the registration form will come to us and we can get it approved quickly. Once you have all the information filled out, click register, and then you'll get an email confirming that you have submitted the form. Once it's approved, which again, we'll do that as quickly as possible, you'll get 2 emails from the system, one with your user ID and one with your password. If you have forgotten your password, you can always just click the forgot password link. You'll be asked for your email address and your user ID. The typical formatting for user ID is the first letter of your first name and then your last name followed by the number 1. So mine would be KCown1 as an example. If that doesn't work or if you're having any trouble, just give me a call. I'm happy to help out with that as well. All right, so once you have your user ID and password, you can go ahead and log into the system. And when you log in, you'll be taken to the main menu page. So you'll see these different options here. Do want to point out the top menu bar. You'll use this a lot as you go through the forms for navigation through the system. So just kind of be aware of that. So starting March 1st through November 1st, you can request your funding. To do that, what you're going to want to do is click on Funding Opportunities. Now, right now I'm logged into the test area, so the opportunities won't be the exact same as the ones listed here. But it's organized by agency. So starting March 1st through November 1st, scroll down to Department of Transportation. And then you're going to want to click on the opportunity title. It'll be 2019 HB 473/BaRSAA. Just click on that title. And then you're going to be taken to an opportunity details page. It just has some general information about the program. To start the forms, you're going to want to click Start a New Application. And that's going to take you to the first form, which is the general information form. Primary contact is going to default to whoever clicks Start a New Application. I would suggest not changing that because if you do, you're going to end up locking yourself out of this field. So just leave that one alone. The next field is project title. So for that one, you're going to want to put the title of the road or bridge project for which you're using the BaRSAA funds. Don't put BaRSAA request or anything like that because that doesn't really tell us the title of the project. So, and it can be something like, I don't know, town-wide street maintenance. If that's what you're using the funds for and that's the title of your project, your road or bridge project, that's totally fine. All right, so once I have my project entered, my organization, everything, I'm going to go ahead and click Save. It's going to show me a summary of the form. If you have additional people from your city, town, or county that you want to enter that will receive emails or be able to access the forms, go ahead and click Edit on this form. And you'll see another field that's been added, additional grantee contacts, and you can go ahead and add anybody that's listed. They have to be registered in Web Grants and they have to be affiliated with your organization. And if they're not, just have them register and let me know and we can make sure they get added. Okay, so save, and then when I'm ready, I'm going to click Go to Application Forms. So I've got the first form done. It's marked as complete. The next form is the BaRSAA Distribution and Reservation Request form. So click there. All right, so now this is the form where I'm going to enter my project information. Now, if you have more than one project, you'll need to go through this request process for each project. You can use the same resolution, but just you'll have to, each project should have its own request in Web Grants. All right, so BaRSAA project information, the first question, I'm going to select distribution request. That means I have a project and I want my funding to be requested. So, and then these additional fields will show up. The first is for the location. For that, we're looking for the specific road or bridge. If there's multiple locations, then you could also always put town-wide or city-wide, depending on the project. And then for the next field, type of work, there's a drop-down menu. So we have construction, reconstruction, maintenance, repair, And then if you're using the funding for an MDT administered project, you're going to put credit. In that case, we won't be sending you a check, but we'll put it towards that project. You could also do a match for a non-MDT administered federal project, like a FLAP project as an example. So just pick the type of work that most closely describes your project. All right, and then for BaRSAA funds from current allocation, for this field, just make sure you're not going over your allocation amount. You know, and this, it's something that you want to track if you have multiple projects to make sure that the total doesn't exceed your allocation. So for this one, I'm going to put in an allocation amount. Okay. And then the next field, total estimated project cost, all sources. So this is the estimated project cost. At a minimum, though, this field needs to include the BaRSAA funds plus the local match. We kind of ran into some issues last time with people not being sure where to put the local match amount, and this is where that's reflected, is in this total project cost. So let me go ahead and enter that amount here. Okay. Estimated project completion date is the next field. You can either enter the date you anticipate it'll be done, or you can use the calendar to select that. The source of the BaRSAA matching funds, that's the source or the account that you're going to be using. You'll notice in the resolution template, there's this last whereas here. The local match for the allocated funds has been budgeted from, and then you would list the source, like the general fund or whatever fund you're using. And so that field in web grants should match your resolution. Okay, so now this next field is where you would enter if you had funds left over from the project that you did last year, and you know, you're not going to use it for that project, it's done or whatever, and you want to transfer those funds to this new project, you're going to select yes, and then these two fields will show up. You'll need to let us know the amount that you're transferring from the completed or withdrawn project, and then the application ID of that project. So when you submitted the request for that last project, you got an email and it had an ID number. It's generated by web grants. You can see it here. It's a 5-digit number. It was also on the invoice, or the amount, the payment when we sent that to you. That number was included. So, and if you can't find it or you're having trouble with that part, just let me know and I can help you find it. This place, in case I'm going to put no. But that's how you transfer the funds. I just want to make sure you're aware of that. All right, and then this next field, distribution resolution attachment. So this is where you're going to upload your resolution. It's easiest if you save it somewhere that you can just get to quickly. So let me see, here we go. Get my resolution, I'm going to open it. I click browse, I go to where it is, I click on the file name, and then I click open. And that's how you upload your resolution. All right, and then the last two fields, government entity type, select which one applies. And then depending on what you enter, name of local government. If you pick city, town, all the city towns are going to show up. If you pick county, all the counties are going to show up. So go ahead and do that. And then once all the fields are completed, you're going to scroll back up to the top and click Save. If for some reason you missed a field, you'll get a message from the system that I can't save because all the fields aren't completed. So just make sure you have something entered in each one. All right, and then it's going to show me a summary of what I've entered. If I see a mistake, I can click Edit, scroll down and edit it, and then go back up and save. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click Mark as Complete. Before I show you the last step, I just want to check in and see if there's any questions. Not yet, okay. So those are the two forms. The last step, and you really want to make sure that you do this, is to click Submit. And then you'll get a little prompt to confirm, and then click OK. All right, and then I land on this submittal confirmation page. I'll also get an email from Web Grants that my my request was submitted. And if you don't do this step, if you forget, we're not going to be able to process it. So just make sure you do that last step. And like I said, you'll get an email, so that way you know that it's been submitted. All right, and then once it's submitted, we'll take a look at it, make sure that all the information's there, that you didn't leave off, however much sent. Oh, see, there's my email. I got it submitted. That's good. So we'll just take a look at it, make sure you're not like over your allocation amount or whatever. And then if everything's good, we'll get it processed. We'll send you the payment. It happens pretty fast, at least it did last year. We have 30 days to pay that out, but I think last year our turnaround time was about a week or two. So,
At most.
yeah, at most. Sometimes it was just a few days after you got it submitted. So that'll happen quickly. And then when the funds are paid out, what I do is I go into Web Grants and I mark it as underway, and then you'll get an email when that happens, and that just means your funding has been sent. So.
We do have a question.
Okay.
The question is, must we use the new resolution template?
No, this is Kelly. No, and you actually don't need to use the template at all. You can do your own thing, and some have. We just wanted to make it kind of as easy as possible for you to have something to go with.
Yeah, if you use the old template, make sure you include your appendices if they're referenced and that the signature authority is registered in Web Grants. Just kind of, yeah, there were a few steps that for some it was a little more challenging. So that's why it was simplified to make it easier. So. All right, so let's say in the case that you submitted it and we noticed a correction was needed. In that case, what we'll do is we'll send you an email to point out the correction, and we'll reopen the forms. You'll get an email when that happens. So to go into the system and make that correction, what you're going to want to do is log into Web Grants, click on My Applications. You probably won't have this many. You can sort. All right, so let's see. And you can see the status of them here. You can see the ones that have been submitted. You can see the ones that are in this case, this one's in correcting. That means I've reopened the forms to make a correction. So you click on the project title. And then depending on which form, so if it's related to the project information, it's probably going to be this BaRSAA distribution and reservation request form. Just click on the form name. A summary of the form will display. In this case, I forgot to enter my total estimated project cost, so I have to make that correction. So go ahead and click Edit, and that will reopen the fields. So then I'll put my project cost. Okay. And then I'm going to click Save. Once you've made the correction, click Save. And then mark as complete. And then it's going to take me back here. And then again, the final step is to click Submit. And then OK. And now the correction's done, and it can be processed and get the payment sent to you. I think that's all I have to show.
Did you mention the FAQ?
Oh, I didn't. Yeah. So if you go, so just want to make you aware of some resources. If you go to MDT's website, mdt.mt.gov, click on the Road and Bridge Dollar tab here right in the middle. And we've added some more resources over here on the sidebar. We have an instruction guide that has, we have one PDF here it's the complete guide. It has all the Web Grants information, but we also have broken it down into sections. So we have a section on the annual report. If you need to do that still, that's a good place to start. It will walk you step by step through the Web Grant system, so it's a lot easier. We have instructions on how to do a distribution request, how to transfer funds, if you need to do a correction, how to do that. And then we also have an FAQ document now which has a bunch of the questions that we had come in last year. So you might find the answer to your question there as well. This is also where we'll be posting the webinar recording. And if you need to remember what your allocation amount is, that's up here too. Just make sure to look for the one that says BaRSAA if you're requesting your BaRSAA funds. This first one is to the quote unquote old or existing gas tax. So I just want to clarify that. And we also have project photos if you want to see some of the projects that were done last year, or if you have project photos that you'd like us to include, you can just send them and we're happy to get them posted. It's a great way to show some of the work that you guys are doing. And there's also the link to the administrative rules if you need that for reference. Yeah, and then don't forget to check the league's website. They have all the information there, the guidance document that Kelly reviewed, as well as the allocation table. And Mako also has a page with information, the program rules, and link to WIB grants, and their updated resolution templates as well. So there's lots of questions. Okay.
The question is, does the total amount have to include the 5% match?
Yes, it does. Yes. Yeah, at a minimum, it has to include the BaRSAA funds plus the 5% match. It can be more, but otherwise, yeah.
That's the only question we have right now.
All right.
Should we just wait a little bit?
Yeah, and I can also see if I want to unmute people. Oh, that's all. There we go. All right, so you guys are off mute now. If there is any ambient noise, we'll probably put you on mute again, but.
Katie.
Yes.
This is Todd Younger, ex-dealer in Valley County.
Hi, Todd.
Hey, so when we submitted our grant last year, that total dollar figure was for roughly like 4 miles of road in this project we're working on. So this total project that we still have like 10 miles left to do. It's going to total like 35 miles of road that we're resurfacing.
Okay.
Can we still go off that same project for this coming year?
Yeah, so you can still continue to do that project. For 2019 though, you'll want to submit a new distribution request. You'll just put the same.
Yeah, but for the same project, we can just do for however many miles we'll get the money for.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Good enough. Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, so what we'll do is go ahead and we'll just hang out here if anybody has any other questions that you think of. And then, let me go ahead and if you do, oops, move that out of the way. Here's our contact information. And if you go through the FAQ guides, there's contact information in each one of the documents on that MDT website. So please let us know if you have any questions. But for now, we're probably just going to put ourselves on mute and hang out if anybody has any additional questions. And just want to say thank you all for attending today. All right. I'm going to also pause.